You're walking into a room you've never been in before, and then it hits you, you've been here. Not a feeling like it, not something similar. This exact room, this exact moment. You've lived this before, and then it's gone. That feeling has a name, déjà vu, French for already seen, and for most of human history, nobody could explain it. Some people thought it was proof of past lives, others thought it was a glitch in time. Philosophers wrote about it for centuries without getting anywhere close to an answer. The real explanation is stranger than any of those theories, and it says something uncomfortable about how your brain actually works. Your brain does two things simultaneously when you experience something new. It perceives the present moment, and it checks that moment against stored memory to make sure it's actually new. Those two processes normally run in perfect sync, but sometimes, for reasons scientists are still mapping, they fall out of sync. The memory check fires a fraction of a second early, so by the time your conscious mind registers the experience, your brain has already tagged it as remembered. You're experiencing the present. But your brain is telling you it's the past. That's déjà vu, not a memory, not a vision, a timing error inside your own head. In 2006, neuroscientist Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews put people inside MRI scanners and induced déjà vu artificially. He did it using hypnosis. Subjects were told to remember specific words. Then they were told to forget them. Then inside the scanner, those words were shown again. During déjà vu, the parts of the brain associated with memory were not the most active. The most active region was the frontal lobe. This means déjà vu isn't your brain remembering something, it's your brain catching a mistake. Your frontal lobe is firing because it knows something is wrong. The memory signal doesn't match reality, and your brain is raising a flag. The feeling of familiarity isn't a memory surfacing, it's an error notification. But why does the timing glitch happen in the first place? The leading theory involves the rhinal cortex. Deep in the temporal lobe, the rhinal cortex handles familiarity signals. It's what gives you the sense that something is known without fully retrieving the specific memory. Normally, the rhinal cortex and the hippocampus, your main memory engine, work together. The rhinal cortex says familiar. The hippocampus pulls the actual memory to confirm. But sometimes the rhinal cortex fires without the hippocampus catching up. Familiarity without retrieval. The feeling of knowing without the knowledge. That gap, that half second where familiarity exists but memory doesn't follow, is déjà vu. Here's what makes this even stranger. Déjà vu is most common in people aged 15 to 25, and it gets rarer as you get older. That's the opposite of what you'd expect if it were a memory disorder. The reason is probably that younger brains are faster, more active, more prone to the kind of processing overlap that creates the glitch, which means déjà vu, this feeling that rattles you, that feels almost supernatural, is actually a sign of a healthy, fast-processing brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do. There's one more layer. People with temporal lobe epilepsy experience déjà vu far more frequently than the rest of the population. Some report it happening dozens of times a day. For them, it's not a glitch, it's a symptom. A seizure in the temporal lobe triggers the rhinal cortex directly, flooding them with familiarity signals that have no source. The people who experience it most intensely showed scientists where to look. So here's what's actually happening the next time you walk into that room and feel it. Your brain is running a check, memory system on one side, perception system on the other, and for one fraction of a second the check comes back wrong. Not because you've been there before, not because of a past life, not because time folded, because two systems inside your head fired out of sequence, and your frontal lobe, the part that catches errors, noticed. The feeling isn't a memory, it's your brain saying something doesn't add up here, and then, a second later, correcting itself. Gone.